Hello everyone, welcome to A Coding Guru. This is the 5th episode of how to access system information. In this episode, we're going to introduce how to retrieve IP address of your computer. My name is Tang Liao. I'm the speaker of this channel. To access IP addresses, we're going to use the system.net namespace. In fact, there are two classes that could be used to retrieve IP-related information. The first one is the system.net.dns class, and the second one is the system.net.networkinformation class. The system.net.dns class is a straightforward method to list all IP addresses, including IPv4 and IPv6 that are available on your machine. But with the functionalities of the system.net.networkinformation class, you can also find out whether an IP address is up and running, whether it's an IP assigned to the wired Ethernet port or wireless Wi-Fi connection. You can even find out the network adapter associated with a certain IP address. Okay, let's go to Visual Studio to see how they work. Now I'm in the project I created in the first episode of this series. Double-click on the IP address button. Visual Studio automatically creates a btn_IP address_click event. Let me copy these 3 lines from rim-size click event and paste them here. Change the description to IP address. First, we are going to try to use system.net namespace to retrieve the IP address. Let me just put a remark method 1 and copy using system.net string. Go up to the top of this file, paste it, add semicolon, then scroll back to the btn_IP address_click event. Let me change that to a region, # region, and add a # end region. Now I'm going to use a string variable called _hostname to get the hostname from the dns.getHostname class. Hostname is your computer name. Next line, IP address array. Let's name the variable as _IP list equals dns.get. Let's select get host entry. Then we pass in _host name. That address list, semicolon. The reason I declare this IP address type as an array type, that's because usually we will have more than 1 IP addresses available on our machine. And of course, it's also due to the address list returns an array of IP addresses. Next, we're going to use a for each statement to retrieve all the IP address from the _IP list array. Now let me go up then copy this line and paste it here. Let me change the description from time zone to IP address and change this parameter to IP. Okay, let's run this application. Click on IP address. Here are all the IP addresses on my machine. Let me open up Windows command prompt. that one. Okay. Now type the command ipconfig. It lists all the IP addresses available on my machine. From the command prompt console window, you can tell there are 5 network adapters in the list, and 2 of them are not even being used. Which means this approach allows you to get the IP address information very easily. But sometimes you need more information, like whether this IP is an IPv4 or IPv6, whether this IP address is in use, or which adapter is attached to. But methods under the system.net namespace cannot give you that. So this is why we are going to use the system.net.network information namespace. Okay, let's go back to Visual Studio, select all that paragraph and press Ctrl+KC to comment them out. Let's create the second method. Let me create another region. And in this method, we are going to use the system.net.network information namespace. Let me select this string, copy it, and go to the top of this file, paste it here, add a semicolon, and go back to the method. We are going to use the for each statement again, but this time we used it to get the network interface from the network interface. That get all network interfaces. And then we use another for each statement to retrieve the IP address from the network interface. Unicast IP address information, let's call it IP in NI. That's the variable for our interface I declared in the first for each statement. NI.getIP properties, that's unicast addresses. Let me expand the first method and copy this line and then paste it in this for statement, for each statement. And add the second parameter for this output string. The first parameter for the curly braces 0 is the network interface name, and the second parameter for the curly braces 1 is the IP address. We use ip.address.toString to return a string. Okay, let's run this application. Click on IP address. As you can see from the result, it has listed all the IP address of all the network adapters in this message box. What if I just want to display the IPv4 addresses with adapter that's still active, and I don't want any loopback IP address? That means only these 3 records match my requirement. Okay, let's go back to Visual Studio. Let me use the link query to add a where condition here. Press enter here to break it to the next line. We're going to use lambda statement inside the link query. And I stat and then state that operational status equals operational status dot up. That means if the network adapter is up and running, and then state that network interface type not equal network interface type that loopback. We use these two criteria to rule out the adapters that we don't need. And in the second for each statement, I mean the IP address level, we add this where condition. We want to select only the IPv4 IP address. IPstat the address that is IPv6 link local add exclamation mark not. We don't want IPv6. Okay, run this application. Click on IP address button. As you can see, it lists only those 3 IPv4 addresses for active network adapters. Okay, that's how we get IP address information